Once upon a time, in the village of Odonla, Afolabi, a fearless hunter and wise advisor to kings, had grown old. His two sons, Kole and Tayo, were like fire and water, always clashing. Kole, the older brother, had charisma and charm but rarely followed through. Tayo was quiet but observant. He is known to asking questions. Even elders paused to answer him. One harmattan morning, after another loud quarrel between the brothers about who should inherit their father's estate, the old man said, "I am not dying today, but if I did, you two would fight until Odonla burned to the ground. So, before I choose an heir, I must know who understands value, not just gold, but people, purpose, and future." He gave each son a single leather-bound ledger and a small pouch of silver coins, and he declared, "You have 1 year. Go to any town, village, or land of your choosing. Your task is simple. Return with something that can grow the legacy of this family, not just today, but for generations. Show me your wisdom. Show me your hearts." Kole packed his best agbada, hired a horse, and went to Ayetoro, a fast-growing trade town known for luxury and nightlife. Kole didn't stroll into Ayetoro. He landed like thunder after Amatan, wearing agbada so white it blinded small children, and a smile that said, "I was born for this spotlight." Kole had a mission. His idea? To make connections, build his name, leave a legacy so loud that even unborn children would know the tale of Kole the Great. And let's be fair, he wasn't just showing off. Kole genuinely believed that this was how powerful people were made. You shake hands, you host events, you get seen, and you stay relevant. He wasn't playing around. This was his hustle. And honestly, it worked for a while. He was always at the right places, toasting palm wine with elders on market days, sitting beside council heads during festivals, slipping coins to drummers to play his chant while he danced with children. He remembered names. He gave out favors. He helped the chief's cousin find a tailor for his wedding outfit. People liked him, not just for his style, but for his energy. He made Ayetoro feel more alive. But connections are expensive. What Kole didn't realize was that connections are like plants. They only grow if you water them. And in Ayetoro, water is money. Soon, his purse got lighter. For months, he smiled for crowds, shook hands, posed like a chief in waiting. But behind the smiles, he had no real investment, no land, no trade, no project, just fans and flattery. And here's the kicker. The same people who toasted to him started getting busy when he came around. "Ah, Kole, you're looking sharp. But I need to step into the store real quick. Kole, we should catch up. But my cousin's wife just went into labor." He would smile, but deep inside, the math wasn't mathing. His connections didn't seem to pick his calls anymore. One even said, "Bro, you're good? You've been quiet, not like before." Kole was learning the hard way. In a land where status is rented, once the money dries up, eviction comes fast. He sat one night in Mama Ronke's lodge, chewing meatless stew, staring at the portrait he made a painter paint him, surrounded by people who no longer answered his greetings. But I tried, he whispered to no one. I really thought this was how kings were born. It wasn't that Kole was a fool. He meant well. He just didn't know that names without work fade like chalk in rain. He threw money at people to speak well of him, paid for artisans to carve his image into a wooden statue. But one evening, as Kole walked home slowly, the sunset didn't look as golden as it did when he first arrived in Ayetoro, chest puffed and pockets lined. He opened the door to his small room. No fan, no sound, just stale air and the dull creak of the wooden floor. He sat on the edge of his bed. No music playing, no clinking bottles, no friends laughing, just silence. The kind that feels loud in your ears. He opened his phone out of habit, zero airtime. He reached out for his wallet, empty. He checked his contacts, so many names, but not one he could call to borrow 5,000 naira without shame crawling up his neck. For the first time in a long time, Kole realized he had nothing to fall back on. Connections are good, but they only last when you can feed them. He had made the mistake many people make, mistaking popularity for purpose, and now both had packed their load and left him sitting on a thin mattress with empty hands, a mind finally waking up. But still in that stillness, something small sparked. Not a plan, not a breakthrough, just a question. If I really start from scratch, what would I do differently? Tayo, on the other hand, walked westward, far from comfort, and entered a struggling village named Ijegun, where the soil was rich but the people were poor. The sun beat down, but Tayo's eyes weren't on the sky, they were on the ground, the markets, the people, the tired faces. He didn't start by talking about who he was. No flashy introductions. No, hey, I am Afolabi-san. Nah, he knew that that would only get him empty nods or jealous glares. Instead, he asked questions. He listened, he watched. He discovered the farmers had no storage for harvest. Rats destroyed their grain. Traders paid them next to nothing. They literally exploited the farmers. Tayo used his silver to buy building materials, then teamed up with the youth to build a communal grain store. He taught them how to negotiate better prices. He kept detailed notes in his ledger, not just what he spent, but what he learned. But he didn't tell them he was Afolabi's son. He just worked. By the end of the year, the farmers had doubled their profits, the youth respected him, and the elders called him the boy with an old man's mind. Tayo's work in Ijegun wasn't all shine and victory dances. No, it came with its own set of "why is this guy trying so hard" moments. Some villagers watched him like he was trying to steal the last piece of akara at his Sunday market. "So you think you're the king now?" whispered one farmer, arms crossed, like Tayo had just stolen his lunch money. Others rolled their eyes so hard, you would think they were auditioning for a drama show. But Tayo just smiled. He knew jealousy was like the summer heat here, uncomfortable but temporary. One day, while fixing a door, an old man huffed. "Back in my days, we just prayed for good harvest. Now, this small boy, he's got calculators and ledgers. What next? Drones?" Tayo laughed so hard and said, "Maybe drones, Baba. But first, let me fix this door so no rats throw a party inside your farm." And rats, they quickly learned they weren't invited. Of course,
Like
Tayo
when
faced
the
real
traders
problems
caught
too.
wind that the village was getting smarter and started sending tougher negotiators, Tayo had to teach the farmers to stand their ground, even when the traders tried their classic take it or leave it move. One trader even said, "You young ones think you know better than us old hands?" Tayo just replied, "No, I just think it's time for new hands." By the end of the year, the village wasn't just richer, they were proud, confident, and a little bit smug in the best way. And Tayo, he knew that this was just the beginning. Soon it was time for the brothers to return home. The village of Odanla buzzed with whispers as Afolabi waited under the Iroko tree watching the dusty road. The day had come. His sons were finally coming back. First, Kole showed up. His fancy clothes were faded, his pockets empty, no flashy gold or gift like when he went. He just arrived like a tired swagger, trying to hide the stress of zero silver left. He told stories about the big connections he tried to make, the deals that almost happened, and the people he met. "I have made our family name known in Ayetoro," he said, bowing. But his father noticed the way Cole's voice sometimes cracked, like he was convincing himself more than anyone else. Then came Tayo, dusty and quiet, carrying a thick ledger full of notes, plans, and proof of real work done in Ijegun. His pouch was lighter than when he started with, but his eyes shone with steady confidence. He spoke humbly about building a grain store, helping farmers earn better prices, and how the village now had hope for tomorrow. Baba Afolabi watched his sons, Kole with his charm but empty pockets, and Tayo with sweat and quiet wisdom. "Money spent without fruit is just a story," Baba said, his voice heavy like the earth beneath them. "Who understands the value at last?" Kole's confident smile flickered, while Tayo's steady gaze didn't waver. Then Tayo quietly handed Baba his weathered ledger, full of numbers, crop reports, testimonies, and a hand-drawn map of the storage house in Ijegun. Baba didn't speak for a long time. Kole wiped the sweat off his brow and eyed Tayo's dusty clothes with a smirk. "Ha! Look at you, coming back like you wrestled the whole farm. What's with all these notes, Mr. Accountant? Are you trying to get Baba to give you the whole inheritance just for being a bookworm?" Tayo shrugged, calm as ever. "It's better to be a bookworm than a broke charmer. How many times did your big connections ask you for money, hmm? Or were they just using you as a walking ATM?" Kole laughed nervously. "Hey, big connections is an art, my guy. You wouldn't understand. You spend your time chasing rats and grain." "Better to chase rats and help farmers than chase empty dreams and lose my silver," Tayo replied, folding his ledger neatly and proudly. "You spent everything without a plan, and now you are back with nothing." At this point, Kole's smile dropped. "It's not about money now. It's about the network. When Baba sees my stories, he will understand." Tayo raised an eyebrow. "Networks don't feed people or build legacies. That's why I built something real. What do you have? A story? And empty pockets?" Ha ha ha. They stared for a moment, the dust settling between them. Their father, who had been watching quietly, finally cleared his throat. "Enough talk. This isn't about just money or stories. It's about what lasts after we're gone." He sat on his weathered stool, eyes sharp but kind. He looked at his two sons, Kole and Tayo, and spoke slowly, letting each word hit like a drumbeat in the quiet room. "My sons, I have watched you both walk different paths. Kole, you have the spirit and charm, qualities that open doors. But doors without keys and keys without locks are useless. You spent your silver chasing connections that disappeared faster than harmattan dust in the wind. Then he turned to Tayo. And you? The quiet one. You went deeper. You saw the struggles of others and used your strength not just for yourself but for the whole village. You did not return with empty pockets but with a legacy that will grow long after I am gone. Baba paused, then smiled gently. Inheritance is more than land or silver. It's about understanding value, the people, purpose, and perseverance. The future belongs not to the loudest voice, but to the one who plants seeds. He looked at both sons. Tayo, you have earned the right to carry this family's name forward. Kole, do not be discouraged. Wisdom is found not just in success, but in learning and rising again. The brothers exchanged a look, one of respect and maybe a little hope. Baba stood up slowly, his walking stick tapping gently on the ground. His sons watched him with a mix of anticipation and worry. He cleared his throat a second time, looked at both of them, and said, I didn't send you to compete. I sent you to grow. I'm not a man to divide my home with just half a heart. He paused, eyes sharp, but again, kind. Tayo, you've proven that you see value in people. You build something that benefits others. But growth needs more than hard work. It needs visibility. Without Kole's kind of connections, your impact will stay small. Tayo looked over at his brother quietly, and his father turned to Kole. Kole, you see opportunity in every face you meet. That is a gift. But relationships built on charm alone fade when money runs dry. Tayo's discipline is what you lack. Someone to build with, someone to keep the dream grounded. Kola lowered his gaze, slightly humbled. Then Baba chuckled. You both want this legacy? Good, you can have it together. Not by splitting it, but by sharing the burden. He continued, Tayo, you will run the grain business, but Kole, you will be in charge of outreach, negotiations, networking, and bringing in partnerships. Without Kole, the business won't scale. Without Tayo, the business won't survive. The boys blinked. You two will build something together than yourselves. But only if you stop dragging each other and start lifting each other. Your inheritance is not land or silver. It's the future you build together. Then he smirked. If I ever hear even one useless argument about who's the boss, I will twist your ears. A few weeks later, as the sun was setting in Odanla, casting a golden hue across the red roofs and mango trees, the villagers gathered again at the square. Not for a fight this time, but for a celebration. Tayo and Kole stood side by side, a little awkward, a little proud. The new grain store they built was up and running. Kole had brought in 3 new trade partners from nearby towns, and Tayo had trained 5 young apprentices on proper storage and fair pricing. Together, they were turning the village into a hub. Their father sat under the baobab tree, nodding quietly. Someone handed Tayo a cup of palm wine. He sipped. Kole leaned over with a grin and said, You know, for a quiet guy, you talk a lot these days. Tayo smirked. And for someone who was just broke last year, you suddenly have ideas. They both laughed. Their journey hadn't erased their differences, But now those differences had become their greatest asset. And the music picked up and children danced barefoot in the dust. Baba Folabi watched his sons, not perfect, not finished, but united. And he thought that was a legacy worth living. Hey, Mama lovers! Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Now tell me, if you were Baba, what would you have done differently? Also, in real life, do you think Kole's connections are more valuable than Tayo's wisdom or no? And finally, how do you define legacy or riches? Is it land, business, or something deeper? And of course, I'd like to know what you think in the comment section. So, guys, I need your connections. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with your friends. I'll see you in the next mind bustling stories, and bye.